June 21, 1998. The world is watching. The United States and Iran are about to face off in the World Cup. But this is no ordinary football match. This is a collision of history, politics, and decades of hostility, all unfolding on a football pitch in Lyon, France. For many, this match is a reflection of two nations locked in a bitter rivalry since the Iranian Revolution of 1979. For Iran's players, it is an opportunity to restore national pride. For the Americans, it is a chance to prove themselves on the world stage. The match ended in a stunning 2-1 victory for Iran, but its significance went far beyond the scoreline. This was not just about football. It was about national identity, political defiance, and a rare moment of unity between two countries that had been enemies for nearly 2 decades. Before we dive into the full story, make sure to subscribe to Football, the Beautiful Game, for more incredible football stories. Now, let's go back in time and uncover the deeper meaning behind one of the most politically charged matches in football history. To understand why this match was so much more than just sport, we need to examine the decades of tension between the United States and Iran leading up to the 1998 World Cup. For much of the 20th century, Iran was under the rule of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, a Western-backed monarch who maintained close ties with the United States. But his rule was marked by widespread discontent, accusations of corruption, and brutal suppression of dissent, particularly through the feared secret police, SAVAK. In 1953, a coup orchestrated by the CIA and British intelligence overthrew Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, reinstalling the Shah. This intervention planted the seeds of deep resentment toward the United States among many Iranians. By 1979, that resentment exploded into a full-scale revolution. The Shah was overthrown, and Iran was declared an Islamic republic under Ayatollah Khomeini. The new government severed all ties with the United States, which it viewed as an imperialist aggressor. Later that year, the infamous Iran hostage crisis cemented Iran and the United States as sworn enemies in the eyes of the world. Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 52 American diplomats and citizens hostage for 444 days. The images of blindfolded American hostages and Iranian crowds chanting "Death to America" became defining symbols of this new era of hostility. From that moment on, the United States and Iran ceased all diplomatic relations. The U.S. imposed sanctions, while Iran's leadership regularly denounced American influence in the Middle East. By the time the 1998 World Cup arrived, relations between the two nations were as strained as ever. The United States still viewed Iran as a dangerous adversary, while Iran continued to frame itself as a nation resisting Western oppression. But now, for the first time since the revolution, the two nations would face each other, not on the battlefield or in political debates, but on a football pitch. When the draw for the 1998 World Cup was announced, placing the United States and Iran in the same group, FIFA knew the stakes were high. This was not just another football match. It was a global event that carried enormous political weight. Tensions were so high that FIFA took extraordinary measures to ensure that the match would be played without incident. According to protocol, the designated home team in a World Cup match walks toward the away team for the pre-match handshake. But FIFA, fearing a political controversy, instructed the United States team to walk toward Iran instead, avoiding any possibility that the Iranian players might refuse. Iran, however, chose a different approach. The team's captain, Ahmadreza Abedzadeh, led his players to present white roses to the American players, a traditional symbol of peace. It was a powerful gesture that caught the world's attention, shifting the narrative from political conflict to sportsmanship. Meanwhile, back home in Iran, the pressure on the national team was immense. Government officials made it clear that a victory over the United States would be seen as a triumph for the nation's honor. The match had taken on a meaning far beyond football. It was a symbolic battle between two opposing ideologies. For the American players, the match carried its own kind of pressure. The United States had invested heavily in its football program and was trying to establish itself as a legitimate force in world football. A loss to Iran, a country seen as an underdog, would be a humiliation. With the world watching, the stage was set for one of the most politically charged matches in World Cup history. The match began under an atmosphere of intense anticipation. The crowd was electric, with Iranian supporters making their voices heard in full force. From the opening whistle, Iran played with purpose and determination. The United States controlled possession early on, But Iran's defense remained disciplined, absorbing the pressure and waiting for their moment. Then, in the 40th minute, that moment arrived. A well-placed cross found the head of Hamid Estili, who directed the ball past the American goalkeeper into the net. The stadium erupted. Estili, overcome with emotion, ran to the sidelines in celebration, tears streaming down his face. Iran was ahead, but the match was far from over. The United States pushed forward desperately in search of an equalizer, but Iran remained resolute. Then, in the 84th minute, Mehdi Maktavikia delivered the decisive blow. Breaking free on a counterattack, he sprinted past the American defense and slotted the ball into the net, securing a 2-0 lead. The United States managed to pull one goal back in the dying moments of the game, but it was too little, too late. The final whistle blew, and Iran had won 2-1. For Iran's players and fans, it was an unforgettable moment. The underdogs had triumphed over their political rivals in front of a global audience. The streets of Tehran exploded in celebration. For one night, Iranians forgot about economic sanctions and political struggles. This was a national victory that united people from all walks of life. However, the reaction from Iran's government was more complicated. While officials publicly praised the team's victory, the outpouring of joy in the streets was viewed with some suspicion by the hardline leadership. The Islamic Republic had always been wary of mass public celebrations, fearing they could spiral into political unrest. Meanwhile, in the United States, the defeat was a bitter disappointment. But for many Americans, the match had provided a rare humanizing moment in the country's fraught relationship with Iran. The images of Iranian players handing white roses to their American counterparts, the moment of unity in the pre-match photo, and the hard-fought battle on the pitch offered a reminder that sport could transcend politics. Years later, when the two teams met again in the 2022 World Cup, the tension remained, but there was also a greater sense of mutual respect. The legacy of the 1998 match endured as a rare moment when football briefly bridged one of the world's deepest political divides. Iran's victory over the United States remains one of the most significant matches in World Cup history. It was a testament to the power of football, not just as a sport, but as a force that can bring nations together, even in the face of decades of hostility.